Today we're going to be graphing systems of inequalities, but before we get there, we're going to start with slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, remembering that m is whatever is being multiplied to our x, and our m represents our slope, and our b is whatever is added or subtracted to our x, and our b represents our, y-intercept. Jumping down to the equation down here, we have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. Our m is our slope. Our slope is whatever is multiplied to our x. And here we have a negative 2/3 being multiplied to our x. Our b is our y-intercept, and that is whatever is added or subtracted to our x. Here we are adding a 4, so our y-intercept is a 4. So to graph this line, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 for our y-intercept. Put a point. Now our slope is negative 2/3. So from that y-intercept that we just put, we're going to go down over to the right, 1, 2, 3, and put a point because we're creating a negative slope. Or we can go back to our y-intercept and go up over 1, 2, 3, and put a point. Then we connect these dots with a line here, and there's our line for this equation. Every single dot on this line represents a solution for this equation. Now we're going to get into a system of inequalities. And for this first one, it's the same exact thing as an equation, except it has a inequality, a less than sign. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is whatever is added or subtracted to x. My y-intercept here is 3. My slope is whatever is being multiplied to x, and here it is a negative 1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this line starting with my y-intercept, which is 3. And then I'm going to go down 1 over to the right 1 for my slope because it is a negative slope. Now to connect these dots, the only change here is that I'm going to use a dotted line for my inequality because it's a less than sign. Right? I'm using a dotted line because I'm not including these points on the line. Remember, in your equation, your line is the answer to the equation. Now in inequality, this is a dotted line. These points aren't on the line, and we'll get to that in a bit. Now, with an inequality, we also have to shade. All right, we're going to shade, and I'm going to shade how? I'm going to pick point 0, 0, and remember that gives us a x and a y. So that is my x, there's a y, so I'm going to put this 0 in for y, 0 in for x, and I'm going to come up with 0 is less than 3. Now we have to ask ourselves, is that true? Is 0 less than 3? Yes, it is. So from this line, I want to shade towards my dot because it is true. Now going to the red line, we have y is greater than 2x minus 2. Here, my y-intercept is a negative 2, and my slope is a positive 2. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept, put it down, and then I'm going to go over to the right 1, over to the right 1 to make a positive slope. And then again, it's a greater than sign, so I'm still going to use a dotted line, and I draw my line through those points. And we're not quite done yet being with inequalities. We have to shade, and I'm going to pick 0, 0, so I put 0 in for y, 0 in for x, and I come up with is 0 greater than negative 2. Yes, 0 is greater than negative 2, so I want to shade towards 0, 0. I want to shade towards where the point I picked. So now we have to look at our graph, and what are we shading twice, right? We're looking for a region that we have black and red in it. And our region is this area right here, is our solution to this system. This region is a solution to this system. We can pick any point from here and it will make this system true. Will make this system correct. So if I pick, let's just, for example, I'm going to pick that point right there, which is negative 1, 1. I put it in for an x and y. My y is 1. My x is a negative 1. So is 1 less than, and that will be 4. And that is true. And then if I put 1 and negative 1 down here, I get 1 is greater than negative 4. Is that true? Yes, it is. So any point down here will make this set of inequalities true. And just to refresh, if we have a greater than sign or a less than sign, we will have a dotted line. And if we have a less than or a greater than sign and a less than or equal to sign, we will have a solid line. So now here, if we wanted to solve this system of inequalities, remember that our y will give us a horizontal line, and we want all our y values to be 3. So I'm going to graph this green line here. We want all our y values to be 3. So we're going to have a horizontal line through y is 3. Let's see if I can put that in here. There's my horizontal line through y is 3. Now we also have to shade this line. And I like to pick point 0, 0. You don't have to, but I like to. And so I'm going to put 0 in for y is 0 less than 3. Yes, it is. So I'm going to shade below this line. Then moving on to y is greater than x. Remember that this has a plus 0. Our y-intercept is 0. And our slope is 1. So we're going to start here and go up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, put a dot, up 1, over 1, put a point. Now we're going to connect all those lines, or all those dots with a line. And now we also have to figure out how am I going to shade this. Now, y is greater than x. That runs through 0, 0. So since that runs through 0, 0, we cannot use that point. And oops, I made a mistake. That's not supposed to be a solid line. That is supposed to be a dotted line because it is a greater than sign. So now going back to my point about the line going through 0, 0, I can't pick that point because a line goes through it. So I'm going to pick a point right above that line at 1, 0. Now if I put 1 in for x and 0 in for y, is 0 greater than negative 1? No, it is not. So since it is not true, I am going to shade away from the point. I am going to shade on the other side of the line. Then for my last guy, I have x is greater than negative 2. X is greater than negative 2. We're going to get a vertical line, whoa, not right there, through x is negative 2. And so I'm going to, connect my dots with a line to get something like this. Now, again, we have to shade, and I'm going to go back and pick 0, 0 because x is negative 2 is not on 0, 0. So if I put 0 in for x, is 0 greater than negative 2? It is, so I'm going to shade towards my point that I picked. Now, here's the hard part. We have to figure out where all our arrows are pointing to. So here, there's a blue arrow, but there's no green arrow. Here, there's a green arrow and a blue arrow, right, because it's pointing that way, but no red arrow. Here, there's a red arrow going on this side of the line. Here we have a blue arrow going on this side. and then a green arrow pointing down. So in this direction here, right along that line, is what I can shade. So all of this over here should be shaded. Any point from this area will satisfy these three inequalities. Any point from this shaded area will satisfy all of these inequalities. So if you want to go ahead and try and pick point 20, whoops, I don't know what I did. Sorry, go ahead and pick 20. Pick 20 if I can get it to work. Pick 20 and plug it in for your x's and y's. Be my guest, but I promise you it will satisfy all of these equations. And we're going to try one more here, remembering that an absolute value, so if we have to graph an absolute value with less than or equal to, we are going to come up with two answers. Remember that it will give us a positive answer, so y is less than or equal to 4, and we'll also have a negative value where y is greater than or equal to -4. Notice when we had a -4, we switched our inequality, right? When we put down our -4, we switched our inequality. So let's go ahead and graph this. So this guy here, right? Y is less than or equal to 4. I need a vertical line through y is less than or equal to 4. So there's my vertical line. Now again, I'm going to pick point 0, 0, plug it in. Is 0 less than 4? Yes, it is. So I'm going to shade below that line. And then now y is greater than or equal to -4. We're going to have a horizontal line running through y is equal to -4. And I am going to shade, pick point 0, 0, plug it in. Is 0 greater than -4? It is, so I'm going to shade above that line. So where am I shading? I am shading, whoops, if I can make it over there, everything here. And now remember, our numbers don't stop at this line. We shade over here too, right? All the way to -infinity, and we would shade over here all the way to -infinity. These numbers keep going, right? Keeps going on both sides. That is a lesson. I hope this helps you out with your assignment. If you still have any questions, please come in the morning, after school, or ask during class, and I'll be more than willing to help you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.